You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. So what do you think? Has Chad painted himself into a corner? Is his scheming and lying about to wreck his life just in time for Christmas? You know, right about now, Chad DiMera's feeling pretty smug. He thinks he found a way to run Everett Lynch out of town and get him away from Stephanie Johnson without getting any blood on his hands. But we all know secrets come out in Salem, and when Chad's dirty secrets spill, will he lose everything? Let's talk about that, and please hit subscribe if you haven't already. So Chad DiMera, first went to Xander Cook to ask for his shares in the Spectator so he could have enough influence to get Everett Lynch fired. Xander quickly figured out Chad was up to some hijinks and refused to sell to him. So Chad went to Gwen Rizczech knowing he could play the guilt card, the I want it for the children of my dead wife card, all that stuff. He pushed all her buttons and got what he wanted. Plus, she can use the money to pay her way around Europe while she tries to steal Dmitri von Leuschner's inheritance. Then Days put out that Day of Days promo showing, the Thanksgiving promo showing Chad standing up at Julie's table and telling Everett he was going to fire his ASS. I knew as soon as I saw that promo, and I told you guys here, that it was one of those daydream fantasy sequence fake outs. And sure enough, it was. Chad just had to grin and bear it, grit his teeth, and tolerate Everett. But then he didn't wait a hot second until he found another way to entice Xander to do his dirty work. With half of the company in Chad's name, he offered Xander the profits for all the company. And Xander is never one to turn away $1. So Chad dangled double the income if he fired his editor-in-chief. It was a no-brainer. And clearly Xander was already trying to lure away that Titan publication editor to replace him. But then Teresa raised that woman's salary, so she told Xander no. So now Chad's manipulation stands to ruin the Spectator because they have no editor and no one to actually get the work done to publish it. And that's completely irritating because Chad said part of the reason he wanted to co-own it was to give it to his kids who know how important the newspaper was to their dead mother, Abby. So that is really low and crappy of Chad. And then what was interesting was Chad was thrown when Everett showed up to their apartment to tell Stephanie he got fired. And at first, of course, Chad was smug. He had this little smile for himself. But then he realized he might have stepped in it because Stephanie said she was the reason Everett lost his job. So Xander blamed it on Gwen and said she was mad because Everett was defending Leo Stark because, of course, Leo was banging Gwen's hot hubby, Dmitri von Douchebag. So Stephanie blames this all on herself because it was her PR campaign idea to defend Lady Whistleblower Leo because he has so many fans of his gossip column that read and click and bring in money to the newspaper. So, Chad just thought Everett would pack and leave town. But of course, I'm sure that Stephanie is going to try and help and get his job back. I'm certain of that. And further, Chad has no idea that after Everett walked out of their apartment, he called Gwen. He left her a voicemail. He wants to know why he was fired, and he wants to talk to her. I don't think she's going to like being blamed for all this, and she could rat out Chad. There are new spoilers for next week that point in that direction. So on Wednesday, December 6th, official day spoilers say Everett and Stephanie are stunned by something they find out. And then the next day, Thursday, spoilers say Stephanie grills Chad. So to me, it sounds like they're going to find out that Xander lied about why he was fired and Gwen sold her shares to Chad. So it was up to Chad and Dandy Zandy who's hired and fired. I certainly hope it comes out soon. We don't need things dragging. So a reason I suspect that it does come out about Chad's treatment of Stephanie and all this shady stuff right now, you know, there's a couple of reasons. I know a lot of people defend him and say that Chad's still grieving Abigail's death and isn't in the right frame of mind to get married right now. That's completely fair. But asking a woman to move in with you is, to my mind, in that situation, when he has young kids like this, that is a huge commitment. To me, that's a test run at marriage if there are little kids involved. If it's just two adults shacking up, sure, no, not that big a deal in this day and age. But Chad's asking Stephanie to be a mother to his children, to be there for them daily, to be his partner. She reads them stories and feeds them dinner and tucks them in when he's nowhere around. All the time. It's almost like she is the primary caregiver, really. And that, to my mind, is saying this is a test run, marriage is soon, right? Just because of the situation as it is. You know, he didn't have to ask her to move in. He didn't have to do all this. He wanted this. She was always keeping a step back and trying to be respectful, and he pulled her close. But then Chad really hurt Stephanie's feelings. He made it clear marriage is off the table for the foreseeable future. And of course, he's entitled to feel that. But if she wants marriage and he doesn't, then he needs to let her go. Instead, he's playing these manipulative games, trying to keep her just on the line like a fish. It's low. But, you know, Chad's not exactly a great guy. I mean, I think he thinks he's a great guy, but his track record's pretty spotty, even where it came to the love of his life, Abby, whom he's cheated on more than once. And by the way, remember his most recent cheating episode was with her sister, Gwen, who he knocked up. So he was clearly riding bareback. Not cool, dude. So on to the reason I do think that Chad is outed soon and all his lies come out and it blows up his relationship with Stephanie and has her walk out. It's a scene from the Day of Days promo that is clearly set to occur after the above spoilers I mentioned about them finding out something and her confronting Chad. It's a photo I'm going to show you of Stephanie out on what looks like a date with Everett. There are Christmas holiday twinkle lights behind them in the square, so it's Christmas time. Everett is in a nice suit and tie. Stephanie's dressed up. Her hair's kind of swept back. She's in a dark dress and a white dressy jacket like you'd wear over a very nice dress, like for a romantic date. So maybe it's a New Year's Eve date, something like that. So don't forget, Stephanie found that engagement ring that Everett bought her the other day. I don't think it was intentional or that he wanted her to find it, because she spontaneously just dug in his bag looking for a charging cable, and she found the box, and then he lied and says, oh, it's just contacts. But she opened it anyway without asking and saw the diamond ring that he had intended to give her before his coma. So Stephanie knows that Everett would put that ring on her now if he could. Meanwhile, Chad's saying, nope, no way, no ring from me. So yeah, but if that was all it was, say Everett with a ring, Chad with no ring, I don't think she'd walk away from Chad right now. I don't. But finding out Chad went behind her back, lied to her multiple times about the shady phone calls he was making, secretly bought half a company, then bribed someone to fire her ex-boyfriend, yeah, that's beyond the pale. When she found out he'd been bullying Alex to stay away from her, remember, she threw a glass of water in his face. This, buying a company, half a company to boot her sweet ex-boyfriend out of his livelihood and send him away, that is next level diabolical DiMera scheming right there. And I bet Chad gets a slap in the face for this one and an angry soon-to-be ex-girlfriend moving out. We'll see. Of course, we have the two spoilers I told you about and the romantic-looking photo from the Day of Days promo. So tell me, what do you think? Is Chad's dodgy behavior about to cost him the woman he says he loves? Is he going to mess around and hurt his kids when they lose the replacement mommy that they have gotten used to? And who is their primary caregiver? So please click subscribe if you haven't yet, and definitely drop your comments about Chad's dirty scheme and what you think it's going to cost him. And remember, we're here talking days all week long, 7 days a week. And this has been Belinda from Soap Dirt. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.